ivory fan of flutter, of children in sailor suits and organza dresses, till the dream rotted her innards. But no one knew. Innards weren't permitted in her time. Shaking her grey ringlets, "My girl, I can't even go to church, you know." I unsettled the priest so completely. Only the other day, that handsome Father Hans was saying,
Miss Louise, I feel an arrow through my heart.
but no one will believe me if I tell them. It's always been the same. They'll say, "Yes, Louisa, we know. Professors loved you in your youth, judges in your prime." Bequest. In every Catholic home, there is a picture of Christ holding his bleeding heart in his hand. I used to think, the only person with whom I have not shared my confidences is my hairdresser. Some recommend stern standards. Others say, float along. He says, take it as it comes. Meaning, of course, as he hands it out. I wish I could be a wise woman, smiling endlessly, vacuously, like a plastic flower, saying, "Child, learn from me." It's time to perform an act of charity to myself, to bequeath the heart, like a spare kidney, preferably to an enemy.
Mrs. Hermione Gonzalez. Mrs. Hermione Gonzalez says, "In the good old days, I had looks and color. Just look at my parents. They married me to a dark man. On my own, I wouldn't even have looked at him. Once, we were going somewhere for a holiday, and I went on ahead. My hubby was to come later. There were lots of fair Maharashtrian ladies there, and they said,
'Mrs. Gonzalez, how fair and beautiful you are. Your husband must be so good looking too.'
'Mrs. Gonzalez, how fair and beautiful you are. Your husband must be so good looking too.' But when Gonzalez came, they all screamed and ran inside their houses thinking the devil had come. Women in Dutch painting. For Melanie Silgado. The afternoon sun is on their faces. They are calm, not stupid. Pregnant, not bovine. I know women like that, not just in paintings. An aunt who did not answer her husband back, not because she was plain. And Anna who writes poems and hopes her avocado stones will sprout in the kitchen. Her voice is oatmeal and honey. Advice to women.
Keep cats. Keep cats. Keep cats.
Keep cats. If you want to cope, the otherness of lovers.
Keep cats.
Otherness is not always neglect. Cats return to their litter trays when they need to. Don't cuss out of the windows at their enemies. Keep cats. That stare of perpetual surprise. Those great green eyes will teach you to die alone.
Keep cats.
Reprieve. This poem is for you. It's a reprieve. It says, nothing in your little black heart can frighten me. I've looked too long into my own. Thank you for the gift of your uncertainties.
Thank you very much. May I invite Mr. Marzban Shroff to speak to us. Marzban has been a student of Eunice's. He's also a versatile writer with many books to his credit. So on to you, Marzban.
Thank you, Ashwin. So Eunice would have been absolutely elated to see these young ladies perform her work and bring it to life, because that's what she was. She was a teacher a professor who brought literature to life. I'm really glad. It's also very tough being a last speaker because whatever has to be said about her has been said, and my colleagues on the panel have kind of completely demystified her just the way she was. Having said that, what I'm hoping to share with you guys is the Eunice experience. That what was it like being in the presence of a person like that, you know? And so I'm going to share three incidents which have sat enduringly in my memory. This would kind of tell you what the kind of person she was. As a professor, she was a firebrand. She was a powerhouse of knowledge. With every lecture, we felt that we had been through a storm. You know, it had hit us and we needed a quick run to the canteen and a chai and a cigarette to relieve ourselves, you know. And as a person, she was very terse and laconic, but she never used, and I think Melanie will vouch for that she never used words in a meaningless way. Every word of hers was right with meaning, you know, the bare essentials. And that's what she taught me the respect of words, even in utterance. Yeah. So there was this time I remember that it was the time of the third year prelims, and I was not prepared for her papers. She taught us literary criticism, I think Hamlet, and American literature. So I went up to her, I caught her outside the principal's corridor outside the main office, and I said, ma'am, yes, Paspa. So I said, ma'am, you know, I'm thinking I'll avoid giving your papers, so if you'll excuse me. She said, and why is that? Are you going to be giving the other professors papers? So I said, yes, I plan to give their papers, but I said, in your case, I'll avoid. So she said, what is the reason for this? So I said, it's because I will not like to give you anything which is less than perfect. And she just looked at me intently, and she nodded, and she walked away. You know, and in that nod, it was a nod of a...
The years from 2000 to 2017, I think were the most productive years for Eunice. She came out with different anthologies. In fact, so much so that, you know, she has been named as the only Indian who is included in the list of anthologists of the world. The only Indian. That was Eunice. So, teaching and then writing. I think the first love was teaching, the second love was writing. And she did justice to both. She really did justice to both. In fact, I met her on 1st of August 2015 at a restaurant in Bandra to celebrate her 75th birthday. She was looking frail, and I said, Eunice, how are you doing? She said, I'm generally at home, you know, busy writing, as was shown in this presentation, that she wrote a column for Mumbai Mirror for nearly 8 years. And those columns were really worth reading columns. I had a whole collection, like, you know, clippings of those columns. I don't know whether they are still there. Another very important aspect of acid, sorry if I am taking a little more time. Yeah. You know, were those plays which used to direct and organize. You know, some of the leading theatre actors of play, like Liza Senior and others, forgetting the name that girl was also my student. She also acted in some movies. So like she actually prepared a whole generation of theatre actors and artists. And she always made it a point to invite me and my wife, answering plan on being organist or something like that, or getting the right thing. And so many other plays, like, you know, and most of these plays were either held in our quadrangle or at British Council Library. So those were the days. I miss Eunice a lot, and you know, her absence is always felt in the college. She left college in 2000 when she retired. I left in 2022 I retired, but there was hardly any day when we never, discussed Eunice. Some of our old friends and colleagues were my contemporaries, and we are still in touch and we still remember Eunice. So happy birthday, Eunice, wherever you are, and we remember you and we love you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Blouse and cotton sarees, oozing sarcasm with her words, her trademark tone and the accent in which she spoke. I think, all those of us who have studied under her can never forget that. Eunice did not just teach us literature, she taught us to think. She taught us to analyze, to question, critically evaluate whatever we read. And I think that is something that even after her classes we're going to carry with us through all our lives. I think, when we would watch her, when we would sit in her class, all of us were held absolutely captive by her presence. We were, like everyone said, mesmerized. We were glued to her like stickers, and our attention did not even flicker for a moment. We would just be looking at her and soaking in every word that she said as though it was the gospel truth, right out of the Holy Book. I remember there was this one time, my friend and I, we were working on a research paper for Ithaca, and in those days, of course, we did not have the internet, so we had to go to libraries to get our information, and we got official permission to go to the library, and we went to the bus stop, we were halfway there, and then both of us looked at each other and we said, we don't want to miss Eunice's lecture. So we went right back to college, we attended her lecture, and much later in the day we went to the library to get our material. So she was an enigma, and I think our emotions for her fluctuated from awe to fear and deep admiration. In the first year, we were not even aware of her work as a poet. We did not even know. It was only after the first year, when we got deeply immersed in literature, that we realized how fortunate we were to be students of the Eunice de Souza. Because till that time, we had no idea about her poetry. And eventually, when we read her poems, everything just seemed to make sense. Because, like Sir said a little while ago, her writings were such an incredible reflection of her personality, unapologetic, bold, and brazen. It was just who she was, and that's what we saw in her poetry. We had been told that it wasn't easy to get an English major, so we would try our very best to make ourselves conspicuous around her. We would hover around her like little bees so that she would be able to recognize us, and when she found out our names and she could address us by names, it was like an achievement. We were halfway there with our English majors, with just her knowing our name. She gave us this title of cackling hens. She used to call us cackling hens because we would be constantly chattering in the classroom, and that is the name of our group, our WhatsApp group. Even to this day, we are still calling ourselves the cackling hens. So I remember this one year on her birthday, I baked her a cake and we went to visit her at her house, and we saw a very different side of her personality at that time, because as a teacher in the classroom, of course, she was very strict and we were all intimidated, we were all extremely awe-stricken when she would come in. But that time we saw the very humane side of her personality, where she was warm, she was welcoming, she was friendly. And in those days, I think somebody mentioned that the English department used to put up these plays, and Rex Baker used to direct these plays, and we were looking for a venue to host Rex Baker's farewell party, because he was leaving for England and we wanted to host a party for him. And so we looked at a couple of places. We went to CCI and we couldn't finalize anything. At that time, I lived in the GPO building. My dad was director GPO, so I suggested, why don't we do it at my house? So she came home and she loved the place, and eventually we had the party at my house in GPO, and I think everyone who came was completely enamored by the whole, the heritage building, by the whole experience of having that party there. And I remember she gifted my mom a cotton sari, like the kind of saris that she used to wear. And my mom wore it for years, and I wore it for many, many years too, because it was a memory of something that she had asked to me, what to call it, We lost touch after college, and then I met her at a book launch in Kitabkhana, I think 2016, just a little while before she passed away. By that time, she had become a very frail version of herself, and it was very difficult for us to see her like that because she seemed so much older, her voice was hoarse, and she just seemed not as self-assured as she used to be, and I think just watching her like that was very painful. But, I think I asked her, I said, "You remember me?" And she said she did, but, she didn't. She seemed like a little lost with everyone around her. Today, I teach in multiple institutes, I've published several books and contributed to several anthologies, and Eunice is an integral part of whatever I do. She's been a source of inspiration, and there's so much that I've learned from her, so much that I've imbibed in my life. She used to say that one day you will all just bake cookies and do Chinese cooking, and I'm so happy that we're not doing that. I think, all of us, not just from our batch, but from batches before and after, I think what she said made us just want to prove that wrong, and so we were all determined to do something and not bake cookies and do Chinese cooking. I think as a teacher, if I could be even 10% of what she was, I think I would have achieved a lot in my life. So there's so much that I have to be grateful for. And she's the kind of teacher who leaves an indelible mark on every student that she teaches. And you can never ever forget Eunice if you have been in her class. So thank you so much for this opportunity.